What if the biggest obstacles in your life, maybe even traumatic accidents, are actually the secret ingredients to unlocking your true creative potential? Welcome, everyone, to the Gist Gab podcast. We're here to unpack some fascinating insights and maybe some surprising facts, too.
And today, we're getting into Stephen King's On Writing, which is, it's so much more than just a guide for writers, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
It's this really unique blend of memoir and like a masterclass. It offers these incredible lessons on creativity, resilience, really the whole journey of this legendary storyteller. You definitely don't need to be a writer to find something powerful here.
Okay, so let's jump right into King's early life then. He describes his childhood as, what was it? A fogged-out landscape.
Yeah.
Which seems almost the opposite of someone like Mary Carr. You know, with her super vivid memories, it sounds like his own early years were, well, pretty blurry for him.
Fogged out is exactly the phrase, and yet even in that sort of haze, he pulls out these sporadic but really impactful memories, like picturing himself as a circus strong boy when he was just a little kid.
Right.
It's fascinating, isn't it, how even those fragmented, kind of hazy bits form the bedrock of a writer's unique perspective.
Yeah.
It's like he's piecing together a narrative from these scattered thoughts, almost subconsciously.
And it definitely wasn't an easy childhood. I mean, his mother faced huge challenges as a single parent. They moved around a lot, lots of instability.
For sure. But what's amazing is that even in that turbulence, these incredibly vivid, almost chaotic characters pop up, like his babysitter, Ula-Bula.
Oh, yeah.
He remembers her loud, smelly antics and her signature. Pow!
Oh.
It's those moments, right?
Yeah.
Childhood innocence mixed with a bit of the absurd. That often becomes really fertile ground for a storyteller.
He also talks about a pretty traumatic ear doctor experience, and that forged this core principle in him. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me 3 times, shame on both of us. It's really striking how pain became this catalyst for understanding trust and, well, deceit.
Exactly. King really shows how these aren't just things happening to you, they're like formative. That single childhood pain didn't just teach him a lesson, it sort of etched a pattern onto his thinking that he'd later use, defining characters and plot twists.
Yeah.
It's a perfect example of how life's deepest wounds can become a writer's richest material.
Yeah.
It shapes your whole internal landscape.
So how did all this kind of lead to the spark, the storytelling spark? I was really interested that his older brother advanced in school, but King got held back because he was sick.
Right.
So that meant a lot of time at home just reading comic books.
And that's where his mother steps in with this really pivotal encouragement. She urged him to write his own stories, not just copy the comics. She challenged it, said something like, write one of your own, Stevie. I bet you could do better.
Wow.
And he talks about writing this story, Mr. Rabbit Trick, and the just profound impact of her praise. He says, nothing anyone has said to me since has made me feel any happier.
That's incredible.
Can you imagine that moment earning his first quarter? 4 stories, a quarter apiece. That was the first buck I made in this business. That validation's so young. It shows how far a little belief can really go.
That really is a pivotal moment. And King has this pretty provocative take on television too, doesn't he? He suggests, and I'm quoting him here, if you're just starting out as a writer, you could do worse than strip your television's electric plug wire.
Yeah, strong words.
Do you think that advice still holds up today in our, super connected, screen everywhere world? Or is there maybe a more nuanced way to look at it now?
Well, it's definitely a bold statement, isn't it? He's speaking from a time when TV was, newer, maybe a more novel distraction.
Yeah, true.
For King, not having that constant screen stimulation kind of forces imagination to fill the gap. And it speaks right to his philosophy on story ideas. He believes there's no idea dump, no story central.
Right, they just appear.
Ideas just come quite literally from nowhere, he says. Often from 2 previously unrelated ideas come together. That Happy Stamps example is perfect. He just saw his mother collecting S&H green stamps.
And boom, an idea.
Exactly. It shows how everyday life, maybe unmediated by screens, can be this wellspring. Perhaps today, it's less about literally stripping wires and more about consciously, carving out that mental space away from all the constant input.
He also seemed to embrace rejection really early on with this amazing optimism. He was piling up rejection slips, but said, when you're still too young to shave, optimism is a perfectly legitimate response to failure.
And some of those rejections were actually super valuable. He got one back from Alfred Hitchcock's Mystery magazine with practical advice just scribbled on it. Don't staple manuscripts.
Simple as that.
It's memorable, almost quirky, right? But it highlights how every setback, even tiny ones, can be a crucial learning moment if you're paying attention.
And he got that key advice from John Gould on journalism. Rewriting, your main job is taking out all the things that are not the story. Which leads straight to that famous line, write with the door closed, rewrite with the door open.
Mm-hmm. The core of his process, really.
So looking back at those formative years, how do you see his childhood, with both the humor and the hardship and those early lessons in persistence and craft? How did that lay the groundwork for his totally unique voice?
It really wasn't like a straight line, was it? It was this rich mosaic of experiences, the instability, those vivid characters, the early encouragement, even the pain. All these pieces honed his perspective and his sheer determination.
Yeah.
They show that the seeds of a prolific writer are often planted in the most unexpected, maybe even challenging places.
Yeah.
And it's how we process those experiences that really molds us.
So from those early flashes of creative spark, King then had to navigate the pretty harsh realities of just making a living. What was that grind like, and how did those tough experiences shape his voice even more?
Oh, the grind was intense. Yeah. He took on these really arduous early jobs like at Warbo Mills and New Franklin Laundry, and he describes them with such vivid, almost visceral detail. Maggots, dirty linens,
yeah.
real physical, often unpleasant work. But even in the middle of all that, his mother was his driving force. She really pushed him to go to college, partly because she feared the Vietnam War for him. Famously told him, "You can't write if you're dead."
Wow. Talk about direct motivation.
Pretty powerful foundational stuff right there.
And even with the grim reality of those jobs, inspiration still hit. He got the idea for Graveyard Shift from a coworker's story about rats in the mill.
Right.
Selling that story for $200 must have been this huge moment, realizing, hey, maybe I can actually make a living doing this.
A really significant amount back then, definitely. It gave him a small buffer against, actual poverty, but maybe more importantly, this profound sense of fulfillment.
Right.
It was tangible proof that his dreams weren't just dreams, that this path, however hard, was actually viable.
He talks about working multiple jobs, laundry, Dunkin' Donuts, even mentioning a coworker who had hooks for hands, all while facing, as he puts it, pretty severe financial struggles.
And through all of this, his wife, Tabitha, played just an absolutely crucial, indispensable role. He says it so clearly. Writing is a lonely job. Having someone who believes in you makes a lot of difference.
That's huge.
Her unwavering belief was basically his emotional backbone during those really uncertain, struggling years. That kind of steadfast support is, well, it's everything, isn't it?
It really is. And then came the Carrie turning point, the moment that changed absolutely everything. What sparked that story, and what happened when it finally found its audience?
Well, the inspiration for Carrie actually came from his own high school experiences.
Yeah.
Specifically observing these girls, he mentions names like Sandra and Dodie the outcast, the ones who were bullied.
Oh, okay.
He kind of blended those raw observations with themes of adolescent cruelty, social dynamics, and then the call came from Bill Thompson at Doubleday.
The big one.
Yeah. King recounts that monumental moment, learning the paperback rights for Carrie, sold for an unbelievable $400,000. He was just speechless. And Tabby, she just burst into tears.
Oh, man. I can only imagine. That's such a powerful image of a breakthrough. All that struggle finally paying off.
It truly is. But, King is very open about how it wasn't this clean, perfect triumph either. Even with his massive success, he was really preoccupied with his mother's declining health and how his family was kind of reticent, didn't really talk about difficult things.
Right. The complexities of real life don't just disappear.
Exactly. It highlights that duality. Immense professional success, often existing alongside these deep, unspoken personal challenges. That sort of bittersweet reality is a recurring theme in so many creative journeys, I think.
So his journey through those early years really just underscores incredible perseverance, doesn't it? The gritty reality of balancing creative dreams with just daily survival. And yeah, the indispensable power of having someone believe in you. It's a real testament to sticking with it no matter how hard things get.
Absolutely.
We've talked about the early struggles and the breakthroughs, but Stephen King's journey also involved a very public, very raw battle with addiction. He even, sort of humorously but also chillingly, talks about his very first experience with alcohol and the catastrophic hangover that followed.
Yeah, that humorous anecdote quickly shifts, doesn't it? It gives way to this long, really harrowing struggle with alcohol and drug addiction. He acknowledges it started around 1975, but became severe by 1985. He describes living with just overwhelming fear and shame, often kind of keeping up appearances despite this intense inner turmoil.
And that turmoil definitely found its way into his novels, powerfully so. Misery, especially. Annie Wilkes is this chilling metaphor for addiction, right? A force that both traps you and destroys you.
Exactly. And the Tommyknockers, he explains, directly reflected those intoxicating but ultimately soul-depleting effects of substances. It's all there in the work.
And his wife, Tabitha, again, played such a crucial role. She actually orchestrated an intervention, confronted him with the stark reality of how his addiction was impacting him, the family.
The ultimatum was incredibly clear. Rehab or leave.
He resisted at first, but eventually he recognized the, quote, destructive nature of his dependencies. It almost sounds like he finally saw the Annie Wilkes of his own life staring back at him. A moment of really profound, maybe terrifying clarity.
Yeah. And what's truly fascinating here, I think, is his powerful assertion about creativity and substances. He says, the idea that creative endeavor and mind-altering substances are entwined is one of the great pop intellectual myths of our time.
That's a strong statement.
It really is. And he follows it up with, life isn't a support system for art, it's the other way around. So while, yeah, maybe some people will point to fleeting moments of inspiration from certain substances, King's personal journey fiercely argues that long-term, genuine creativity is hindered, not helped, by addiction.
Right, he really pushes back against that romanticized idea of the tortured, substance-fueled artist.
He completely challenges it.
Yeah.
Asks us to question it too.
It's a powerful debunking of that myth, and after that, his gradual return to writing. He describes experiencing a kind of detachment at first, but then slowly rediscovering his passion.
And there's that symbolic change in his writing environment too. Moving from this big, imposing desk to a smaller, more intimate setting. It really represented his emotional and creative renewal, didn't it?
Yeah, like reclaiming his space.
Reclaiming his space, his sobriety, his craft, all of it.
And that brings us to his concept of writing as telepathy, between the writer and reader, fostering this shared understanding without actual spoken words.
Yeah, and he stresses the absolute importance of seriousness in the craft. You must not come lightly to the blank page. For him, writing isn't just fluff. It's a profound form of communication, a deep connection that deserves real commitment and respect. It's not just telling a story. It's about transmitting an experience almost mind to mind.
His raw vulnerability in sharing that struggle, combined with that crucial insight that true creativity is actually hindered, not helped, by addiction. It really underscores that profound shift when life itself gets prioritized.
Yeah.
It's a real testament to the power of reclaiming your life.
Absolutely.
King has this very practical, almost blue-collar approach to the craft of writing. He compares it to carpentry, right?
Right.
Emphasizing the need for the right tools. He even quotes his Uncle Orrin saying, "It's best to have your tools with you."
Yeah, I love that analogy. And he builds on it, encouraging writers to build their own toolbox.
Yeah.
With essential tools, like vocabulary, which he calls the bread of writing, and grammar, which he sees as the framework of a house.
So they're not constraints, but structure.
Exactly. They're foundational elements that give your ideas structure and substance. You need them.
He's also a huge advocate for just natural language, stressing clarity over pretentiousness. He says, good writing is often about letting go of fear and affectation. And he famously has this strong preference for active voice and a real dislike for adverbs, likening them to weeds that weaken writing. What do you make of that, his kind of absolute stance on adverbs? Is it a hard rule or more like a strong suggestion?
Well, it's definitely one of his more debated pieces of advice. King himself even admits sometimes an adverb might be necessary. But his larger point, I think, is about precision and strength in your writing.
Okay.
A lot of adverbs are just crutches, right? Used when a stronger verb or maybe a clearer noun would do the job better and more directly. He also emphasizes paragraph structure, how crucial that is for rhythm and pacing, guiding the reader's eye and their understanding. It's all about making the reading experience smooth, engaging, making sure you don't trip over the words.
So if someone listening is just starting out, what are the absolute foundational habits he really preaches?
His absolute rule is crystal clear, and it's beautifully simple. If you want to be a writer, you must do two things above all others. Read a lot and write a lot. Simple as that.
Can't get much clearer.
And he adds, if you don't have time to read, you don't have the time or the tools to write.
Yeah.
For King, reading isn't just, a leisure activity for a writer. It's professional development. It's essential.
And establishing that daily commitment, like his goal of 1,000 words a day and having that dedicated writing space, the closed door he talks about for focus and commitment, that really sets you up. It sounds almost monastic in a way.
In a good way, yeah.
Yeah.
It's about creating that ritual, that sacred space for the work. And he makes this really clear distinction between story and plot.
Right.
For him, story is organic, it's character-driven, it evolves naturally. Plot, on the other hand, that's pre-planned, and sometimes it can stifle that organic growth. He really encourages writers to trust their characters, to dictate the actions, to see where they lead the narrative.
And description, he says. Description is what makes the reader a sensory participant in the story, but he emphasizes using just a few well-chosen details and a mental eye, not overwhelming the reader.
Yeah, less is often more there. Dialogue, too, is key for character development. He advises actually observing real conversations. He says, talk, whether ugly or beautiful, is an index of character.
That's a great line.
It is. He stresses that characters should reflect real human complexities. They should evolve within the story, not just be these static figures moving through some preordained plot.
And themes. He argues they should emerge organically from the writer's experiences, not be forced onto the story. Good fiction always begins with story and progresses to theme, so don't start with a message, let the story reveal it.
Exactly. Let it bubble up naturally. When it comes to revision, he advises at least 2 drafts. The door-closed draft, written just for yourself, and then the door-open draft, where you invite feedback.
And that crucial 6-week break after the first draft.
Yes, for fresh perspective. Brilliant advice. You absolutely need to come back to your work with new eyes, otherwise you just can't see it clearly.
That's where the ideal reader comes in, right? For feedback and shaping those revisions. And he stresses prioritizing consistency, clarity, character development in the rewrite, and keeping research subtle so it doesn't overshadow the story.
And maybe most tellingly, he believes that real growth happens through personal dedication and practice, much more than through formal classes or workshops.
Interesting.
It really demystifies the writing process, I think.
Yeah.
Makes it accessible through just consistent, practical work, rather than relying on some elusive innate talent. It's really about showing up and doing the work day after day.
He really does break it down, doesn't he? Providing concrete, practical advice while still stressing those foundational habits and the organic nature of good storytelling. It's not about waiting for magic, it's about dedicated work.
Exactly.
Which brings us to maybe the most impactful part of his memoir, the life-altering accident, June 1999. He was struck by a van driven by Brian Smith on Route 5, sustained these incredibly severe injuries to his right leg. It's a truly harrowing account.
Oh, absolutely. He recounts moments of just extreme disorientation, shock, feeling like he was at death's door, but fighting to survive. His urgent message to the paramedics was, "Tell Cabby I love her very much."
Oh, wow.
He went through multiple surgeries and this tireless, just excruciatingly painful recovery. It's amazing testament to sheer willpower.
The struggle to even return to writing on writing itself, which he'd started back in '97, was immense. Not just because of the physical pain, but also the difficulty he found with nonfiction. He describes it as different from his usual joy in fiction.
And once again, Tabitha's unwavering support was just crucial. She actually prepared a workspace specifically tailored to his needs, showing this profound understanding of his passion and how vital writing was for his recovery.
Yeah.
She knew it wasn't just a hobby for him, it was his lifeline.
He came to this profound realization about starting anything new, especially after a trauma like that. The scariest moment is always just before you start. That feels like it applies not just to writing a book, but maybe to rebuilding your life after something devastating.
Absolutely. And writing truly became a crucial part of his recovery. It was a way to escape his pain, it was a return to normalcy, and just a profound act of healing. The creative act itself wasn't just his passion, it was therapeutic.
He describes his continued progress, his healing, likening the flow of writing when it comes back to the exhilaration of flying. It's such a beautiful, almost transcendent image, isn't it?
It really is. And he emphasizes the ultimate purpose of writing, saying it's not about fame or fortune, but about enriching the lives of those who will read your work and enriching your own life as well. It's about connection, purpose, giving something back.
He has that powerful metaphor, too. Writing is magic, as much the water of life as any other creative art. And the encouragement he offers is so direct. The water is free, so drink. It's this beautiful invitation to just engage with creativity.
And his ultimate message to anyone brave enough to start their own creative journey is incredibly empowering and direct. You can, you should, and if you're brave enough to start, you will. It just distills all the lessons down into one powerful call to action.
Stephen King's journey, as he lays it out on writing, is such a powerful testament to persistence, isn't it? The importance of those foundational skills and the vital role that personal experience, even the really painful, traumatic stuff, can play in shaping your unique voice. It's also a profound celebration of that indispensable power of support from loved ones, all leading to this deeply personal, profound act of creation.
So as you reflect on King's journey and his real insistence on just starting, maybe consider how much of our own on-writing life story remains unwritten because we're waiting for the perfect conditions, instead of just embracing the magic of beginning, even if it's messy.
That's a great point.
What is the one story you are waiting to tell? And that could be a literal story, maybe a project, or just a new chapter in your life. What might happen if you just started today?